we are going to start talking about graphing and plotting points today. Solving equations like the ones that you're working on right now, that's going to be really useful when we get into graphing lines. So let's take a minute to go over these two equations here. Do I have a volunteer to help me with the first one? We're going to start here by circling the variable that we want to get by itself. Since we want to get the y by itself, I'm going to circle that, but not the x, because we're not solving for x here. And I'm also going to draw this line through the equal sign. And then once I do that, what do I want to do next? Okay, good. So to get this y by itself, the first thing we'll do is get rid of this 6x. And to get rid of that, we need to subtract 6x. So we'll subtract 6x from both sides. And over here on the left side, the 6x and the negative 6x cancel each other out, and what's left over there?
On which side?
On the left side.
2y.
Okay. And on the right side, how are we going to write that? Can we combine these and just say 12 or 12x?
You got to put negative 6x plus 18.
Good. We cannot combine them because they're not like terms. So we're going to put the variable term first, the negative 6x first, and then the term without the variable second. That's going to be the 18. Okay, now what do we do to get the y by itself?
You got to subtract 2. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what I meant to say.
that's 2 times y, so to get rid of the 2, we're going to divide by 2. It would be okay if you wrote this like this, again, but I like to keep it separate like this, so I remind myself, I don't forget that I have to divide both of them by 2. Alright, so when I do that, the 2's are going to cancel on the left side, and what's left over there? On the left?
Wow.
Alright, on the right side, we have negative 6x divided by 2. So let's just do negative 6 divided by 2. We get what?
Negative 3.
Negative 3, and then what do we do with that x?
Don't it come down?
Yeah, the x needs to come down also. And then what is 18 divided by 2?
9.
9, is that positive or negative?
Positive.
So we'll put a plus there, right?
Yep.
And there's your answer. So we get y equals negative 3x plus 9. Alright, so then looking at the second one. Oops. Let's look at the second one here. Shay, you're going to help me with this one?
Yeah.
Alright, so after I circle the y, since I want to get the y by itself, and I draw the line here, what's the next thing I need to do? Okay, good. So we want to get the y by itself. We'll start that process by subtracting 5x from both sides. So we'll do minus 5x here, and minus 5x here. And when I do that, Shay, the 5x's cancel, right? So what's left on the left side? And on the right side?
You do negative 5 plus 40.
Negative 5 plus 40?
Yeah.
Oh, I think you forgot something.
The x.
Yeah, it's negative 5x plus 40, right? Okay, that x is really important. We need to keep that variable there. Okay, now what do we do to get the y by itself?
You divide by 4.
Okay, we'll divide by 4. And remember, we need to divide everything by 4 here. So we'll divide both of those by 4. And when we do that, the 4's cancel over here, and what's left over there on the left? Alright, now, it gets a little bit tricky here. So can I do negative 5 divided by 4, Shay?
No, that's why you leave it as a fraction.
Exactly. So you could write this as a decimal, and it would mean the same thing. But later on, when we start graphing lines, we're going to want this to be a fraction. And we're actually going to deal a lot with equations that have fractions in it like this. So we're going to leave this as a fraction. So we're going to leave it as negative 5/4. And then what do I need to do with that x?
Put it next to the fraction.
I'm going to put it next to the fraction. So you could, there's 2 places you can put it. You could put it where I have it here next to the fraction. You could put it up here next to the 5. But you are not allowed to have it down here next to the 4. Does anybody know why we can't have it down by the 4?
Because 4 wasn't right.
Put the plus sign.
Okay. All right, so we've got the x in a good place because we don't want to show that we're dividing by x, so we don't put it down here by the 4. And then 40 divided by 4 is 10, so we put the plus 10 there, and we are done. Again, when we have something that we can't divide here, we're just going to write that as a fraction.
Oh, okay.
I want to take just a brief second here to talk about number lines. Who can tell me what a number line looks like? So it's a line with numbers, but more specifically, where are the numbers?
On the line.
Okay, the numbers are on the line, or at least they're marked on the line. What kinds of numbers do we put on the number line? We're going to put the whole numbers on there. Where do I put the positive numbers?
Right there.
On the right side. Where do I put the negative numbers?
Left side, left side.
Where do I put the 0?
Middle.
In the middle, between the positives and negatives, right? All right, so we end up with something that looks like this, right? So there's a number line. So we've got 0 in the middle here. We've got positive numbers going to the right and negative numbers going to the left. Now, just to be clear, the 0 doesn't have to be in the middle. I could have a number line that looks like this, and the 0 is way over here. So then the positive 1 would be right here, and the negative 1 would be right here. Okay, so 0 can be anywhere, and that's kind of a starting point for us. So we're going to start at 0, and then from the right, or to the right of 0, we're going to count up and have positive numbers. To the left of 0, we're going to have negative numbers. All right, so when we're graphing, we're going to use something called axes. So the x-axis is going to be something we're going to use later on, and the x-axis is really just a what? What is this? What is that a picture of right there on the board?
A line with numbers.
It's a number line, right? So the x-axis is a number line. All right, now we're going to use another number line, another axis. You guys know what the other axis is called?
Y-axis.
The y-axis. The difference between the x-axis and the y-axis is what?
The Y goes up.
The y-axis is up and down. What do we call a line that goes up and down? Vertical. What do we call a line that goes left to right? Horizontal. So the x-axis is horizontal, the y-axis is vertical. And it's always going to be that way. All right? The axes, the x-axis and the y-axis, they're just number lines. And that's an important thing to keep in mind because when we're graphing stuff, we're just going to count along the number lines. So when we put it together, this whole thing here is really just two number lines put together. Now, what is this whole thing called? Anybody know what we call this?
A whole number line.
All right, so when we put them together, we get what we call the coordinate plane. So let's talk about the coordinate plane here real quick. We have the x-axis, which is what kind of line? Horizontal or vertical?
Where's the X?
The x-axis. Is it horizontal or vertical?
Horizontal.
Horizontal. So we have the horizontal axis is the x-axis. We have the y-axis, which is
Vertical.
vertical. Where the two axes meet, that point has a special name. Anybody know what that's called? It's the starting point or the origin. So this point right here is called the origin. And if we look at the x-axis and we go to the right, what kinds of numbers do we have to the right of the x-axis? We have positive numbers. And as we move to the left on the x-axis, we have
Negative.
negative numbers. And on the y-axis, if we go up, we have what kind of numbers?
Positive.
Positive. And as we go down, we have
Negative.
negative numbers. All right, so let's put this to some use here. If I give you an ordered pair looks like this. There's a few properties that are important here with the ordered pair. So a pair has two things. We've got two numbers separated by the comma, and what else do we have here? Parentheses. Without the parentheses, this is not an ordered pair. So I'm going to tell you this now. I'm going to tell you this a lot through this whole triad, through this whole unit. You have to have the parentheses when you write an ordered pair. If you don't, it's not an ordered pair. All right? So this ordered pair represents something on the coordinate plane. And so that it represents something, we have to make one of these x and one of these y. Does anybody know which one is x and which one's y?
2 is X and 4 is Y.
Okay, why do we say that 2 is x? So Steven's saying that the first number is x and the second number is y. Do you guys agree with him?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. How do we know that x comes first and y comes second? This is where the ordered part comes in ordered pair. How do we know x comes first and y comes second? Alan? We order them by the alphabet. X comes first, y comes second in the alphabet. So we put x first in the ordered pair and we put y second in the ordered pair. Okay? So, in this particular ordered pair, we have x equals 2. Since x equals 2, we're going to find 2 on the x-axis. Where is 2 on the x-axis? If we start at the origin, which way do we go? We go right to. So x equals 2 is right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line through that so that I get everything where x equals 2 right there. So that's where x equals 2. And what about when y equals 4? We go up from the origin to 4. So we're going to be here on the y-axis, and I'll draw a line through that. This time it's going to be a horizontal line. So where is the point 2, 4 going to be? It's going to be where those two meet. So the point 2, 4 is going to be right here. If you haven't already, I want you to go ahead and plot that on your notes. And then I want you to do the same thing for the other 3 points. -1, 1, 2, -2, and 0, 1. In this next one here, -1, 1, remember that the first numbers are x and the second numbers are y. So since x equals 1, where's that line going to be? We start at the origin and go which way?
Oh, left.
Left 1, because the x-axis is that horizontal one. So we're going to be over here. And when y equals 1, which way are we going to go? We're going to go up 1, so we're going to get that line there. And so the point -1, 1 is going to be where those two meet, right there. Right? Okay? 2, -2, that means that x is going to equal what?
So,
X equals 2, so we go to 2 on the x-axis. Y equals -2, so we go to -2 on the y-axis. And so that point is going to be where they meet, right there. Okay, the last one. This is a little bit trickier actually with the 0 in there. What does x equal in this problem?
0.
X equals 0. So where is that going to be? Where does x equal 0? Well, in the middle. So is it just right here, right in the middle, and that's it?
No. You go.
Is it going to be along this way?
It's going to be on the line, ain't it?
Which line? The y? Is it going to be on the y-axis or on the x-axis?
Yeah.
It's going to be on the y-axis. So that yellow line right there, that's where x equals 0. So x equals 0 right there on the y-axis, and y equals 1 right there. So where they meet is going to be right there. Any questions about those? All right, so then what I'd like you to do on the back, and be careful about this, I want you to plot these 8 points. But then when you plot them, I want you to label the point next to it. So here's what I mean by that. When you do, say, point A, I want you to plot point A at 3, 5. So we're going to go to 3 on the x-axis, and we're going to go, that's right here, and we're going to go to 5 on the y-axis, which is right here, and they're going to meet right there. So this is going to be your point, right? Everybody okay with that? I want you to show me that's point A, though, by doing what?
By putting the A on it.
Put an A next to it. So you go ahead and do that for the other 7. I want you to just check yours, make sure that you got your points at the same places. Check especially H, D, and F, and make sure you have those, and E, sorry. Make sure you have all of those where you want them also. And then once you've got that, go ahead and work on the bottom, and I'll put up here what the bottom should look like, at least for the first couple of them. So for the bottom of your notes, it should look something like this to get started, where we put 1, 1, 3, 5. Notice that when I connected them, I just drew the line between them, but I didn't continue it beyond. All right, and then the next one should look something like this, and the next one should look something like this to get you started.